And good evening, everyone. Welcome to Arcane Radio. I'm Sean the Fork Chop Forker, joined by well, you all know who he is, Lon Strickler, the Fox Mulder to my Dana Scully, my best friend, your best friend, everyone's best friend, and the man who runs Phantoms and Monsters, Mr. Lon Strickler. Lon, how you doing tonight, big guy?
I'm doing pretty good. We went from 30 inches of snow to mud. Now we got mud.
Yeah, that's disgusting. They use that term. I call it snit when the snow turns
Yeah,
to
that's
dust.
what it is.
It's gross. It's disgusting when it turns to mud and bleh.
It's actually supposed to get up to 60s here tomorrow or the day after.
I know it's disgusting. Like I don't know what to do with this weather.
It's crazy. Oh well,
We're supposed to survive it, I guess.
I guess, but it's getting old now.
It is. Although I haven't had any snow yet this year. Knock on wood.
Yeah,
No
well,
snow at all.
the old groundhog can come out tomorrow, and he's just gonna say screw this and go back in.
Yeah.
He's gonna tell you all figure it out for yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's great that we put our weather fate in the hands of a rodent.
Yeah, yeah.
How long has that tradition been going on, the Groundhog Day tradition,
I
Lon?
don't know. I only ever went up there one time, and I think I was
Gobbler's
drunk
Knob.
most of the time I was up there. But I was in high school, and we drove up to Puxatawny, and I really don't know why we went up there. It was the whole week, the whole 2 days, 3 days we were up there lost. so, so it was interesting, but it wasn't like the movie.
No, it's definitely not. In fact, I have a good friend, Uncle Jimmy in Punxsutawney. Hey, Uncle Jimmy. He lives in Punxsutawney, and most of it, he said, was embellished from what it's actually like. But he said the movie was great for the town.
Yeah. Ah, boy. So what's going on this week?
Oh, not much. My grandfather's not doing too well, so
Yeah, I heard.
between actually working and starting this business of my wife's, which is doing phenomenally well. Don't get me wrong. It's just been an awful lot, and everything's in the hands of the gods, out of our hands. But other than that, Lon, not a whole lot. I haven't been able to get on a whole and do a whole lot in terms of reading and doing the paranormal dig. So I'm kind of relying on you to bring me the good stuff tonight.
Well, it's been I don't know. It's been kind of an odd off and on week. Um, there've been some decent stories, but all in all, it's been kind of par for the course. Though, I did get a few oddball stories this week. In fact, there was one. There was like a flying humanoid, possibly Mothman thing in near Mount Fuji in Japan. And then I had another story from a couple weeks ago.
Ouch.
It was an abduction lost time down in the U.S. Virgin Islands. So it was kind of off the continental United States for what I'm going to talk about. But we'll be talking about a lot of creatures and creepy things this week because we got our friend Jay Bachochin coming on, and the truthologist. That's what he wants to call himself. Well, that's what he calls himself now, truthologist. And maybe we'll catch up with him and see what he's been up to.
We're always after someone to find the truth, and I'm glad Jay's going to be joining us tonight. Jay's a good guy. We've known Jay
Yeah,
for a few years now. Always got great stories to talk about. He's out there in Wisconsin, so that Wisconsin, besides the cheese, is a pretty interesting place.
yeah. Well, he's been, of course, we know he's been working a little bit with Linda Godfrey as well,
Oh yeah.
and he's he's had his encounters also. So yeah. So at half hour we'll have Jay on here. We'll talk about a few things.
I'm excited to talk to Jay. It's been a while since we've actually had an opportunity to just sit down and talk
Yeah.
shop with one of our good friends, and of course, Lon, we always appreciate that opportunity.
Yeah. It's almost like an open mic, but we talk about the weird stuff that's out there. That's what we do. And speaking of weird stuff, how about X Files this week?
Oh my God, I was just going to segue there with that. It was fantastic. I thought it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I watched it with the family before I left to come down to the studio. And I told you, as soon as we got on the horn tonight, I said, "Lon, did you watch the episode? It was fantastic." It
Yeah.
was funny. It was exciting. It was well. The acting was a little hokey and embellished, but it was a lot of
Mm.
fun for me. I enjoyed as an X Files fan and just a fan of weird stuff. I thought it was a top notch, grade A episode.
Yeah, my son. I asked my son. I thought it was really good. I said, well, it was different. It was kind of like it was like the play on the werewolf, but it was kind of reversed, and then it ends up being a reptilian that's getting ready to go to hibernate for 10,000 years. It was kind of a strange story.
Yeah, I really
So
enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun.
yeah. So I mean, it'll be interesting to see what we have this season on the X Files.
Only a couple more episodes to go. I think three more. It was a 6 episode miniseries, but I'm hoping it opens it up for a another opportunity for a longer term season. I don't know
I
if it's
do
in the
too.
cards, but I think it's worth it.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. Uh, see, the problem is with these actors and actresses now, they just don't want to stuck in. A lot of them don't like getting stuck in some of these series that they really have no idea what's going to happen. They like to get a little more, uh, you know, assurances that it's going to be long term instead of just a little here and a little there. And I don't know. I don't know what they have planned. If they do have something extended in mind, they're keeping it very quiet. And I don't know, but I'm like you. I hope they do. I hope they do extend it because there's a lot of storyline there that they could expound on.
Oh yeah, I just went back and watched the X Files from season one. I'm halfway through season 8 now, and you're talking about really story driven, dramatic stories. The 7 and 8 so far have been really
Mm.
dynamite.
Yeah, the original series is really good. I mean, so if they can get close to that, I mean, I'd be happy.
Yeah, me too. I think, but this short little mini series has been fun. It's been nostalgic enough to make it feel good and
Mm.
to get people's palates wet for more X Files. And it's a huge expanded universe there that they could really build on and have some really good long term stories from. Speaking of just expanded universe, Star Wars, Disney announced that they had no plans of stopping on Star Wars material even after this trilogy that's going. There's actually
Huh.
6 movies that are coming. They spent $4 billion from it. I hope they wouldn't wrap it up after 6 movies.
Yeah, if they feel it's going to be economically viable, they're going to keep it going.
Well, look how much money the first one's made so far,
Oh, absolutely.
and that's not
Yeah,
even counting action figures, books, and all that other jazz. Let alone the next 5 movies that they have coming out.
absolutely.
It's a moneymaker, and I don't understand why they'd want to stop it. I wouldn't want to stop it. I'd want to make as much money from it as I can, and maybe that's just the greedy capitalist in me. But if I spent that much money on a franchise, I'd love to milk it for every cent it's worth myself.
Now, on the other hand, if they take Finding Bigfoot and ditch that thing finally, I'd be happy.
Yeah, I think it's jumped the shark. As much as I like those guys personally, Bobo and Drag was a real drag for me. No pun intended. It was a bummer.
I How many seasons has that been now?
6, maybe more.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking it's more. I don't know.
It
You know,
gets
I,
confusing when they stop these shows halfway and then
yeah,
they pick up again.
I tried to go back and watch an episode the other day, a new episode, and I don't know. It lost all its appeal to me. So I don't know.
If you talk about soul Bigfoot documentaries, I go back to my favorite being, and I don't know if you remember it or not, but the Travel Channel had a documentary on called Bigfootville,
Yeah.
based upon Bigfoot in Oklahoma, and
Oh,
that
but
was my
that was a good special.
it was my favorite. I love it. I watched it on YouTube the other night. I love YouTube, by the way, for rare, hard to find videos. Do you remember that hokey one UPN did years ago? Incident in Lake County,
Mm-hmm.
the alien
Yeah.
abduction.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was cool, and I watched that on YouTube not too long ago. I really enjoyed it. A lot of fun. Stupid, but a lot
Well,
of fun.
anyway, I did get an unusual report this week.
Here we go.
I got this from a guy in Australia actually, but he said, "Sir, I'm writing on behalf of a business friend who I visited in September 2015. He lives in Tokyo, Japan.
Wow, this is
While I was
international.
there, he told me of an incident that occurred while he and his fiance traveled to Mount Fujiyama, Komatake Shrine.
Say that again? I'm kidding.
Uh,
Don't.
they had both been at the shrine and the other local sites throughout the day. Now, while they were leaving the parking lot, they both noticed a strange looking man crouched down by a tree near the edge of the forest.
Voyeur.
Now, my friend slowed down his car as they continued to watch his man. The forest was dark, but they could see a halo of red light over his head.
Hmm.
Now, about that time, he turned and stood up. Instantly, a pair of large, dark butterfly wings sprung open from his back, and he shot up into the canopy. As it ascended, they noticed the wings reflected light.
Hmm.
They then noticed that two older women had been watching this man as well, and who screamed and ran away towards a nearby building. Other people then reacted to the screams and were looking towards the forest. My friend did not stay and drove off. They were both frightened, and his fiancée cried most of the way home. I was shocked by this encounter and started to look on the internet after I returned home to New South Wales. I then read about the Mothman incidents and other strange winged humanoids. I talked to my friend, and he said that someone had told him the same thing, and that it had been seen in Japan. Could you offer an explanation? Thanks, Jan. I sent an email to Jan asking for more details, and if possible, if he had any, he wrote back and said that he mentioned that his friend was worried about mentioning this being to others,
Mm-hmm.
and that his fiance seemed to believe that this was an evil omen concerning Mount Fuji and possible disaster.
Like Mothman type deal.
Yeah, I remembered a witness or two who stated that a Mothman-like being had been seen before the 2011 Japan earthquake tsunami with Fukushima.
Fukushima, yeah.
And and with the story I posted in an article from the witness who stated that he had seen this thing. So yeah, I mean, all in all, it sounded like a Mothman type thing. It'd been nice if they'd have took a picture of it, but I don't know if they'd have got much of a picture in. It would be as dark as it was in the woods.
You know, that's one thing we always get, Lon, is why don't folks take pictures
Yeah,
of these
yeah.
things? And I don't know about you, but if it's something strange like that and kind of scary, I don't know if the first reaction of mine is to, oh my God, let me get a picture with my
Yeah.
iPhone.
Well, I agree with you because I talk to a lot of people. And converse with a lot of people that have these encounters,
Hmm.
and normally it's not the first thing that hits their mind.
It's not the first thing that hits my mind.
And uh, and of course, you're being the investigator or someone taking their questions, and it's the first thing I think of. But of course, if I was in that situation, who knows? I don't know if I'd want to do that or not.
You know,
But
I'm telling you, I'm an investigator and I probably wouldn't think to take a picture.
that's that happens all the time.
You know, you have an instance like this where you see something in front of you, and I think there's times that even while investigating, you still don't expect to see anything. So when it happens, you're like, "Well, son of a bitch, look what just happened." And you know, when do you cognizantly take that opportunity to snap the photo? That's why I think people with wearable cameras like the GoPros and whatnot might be more suitable for what we're trying to do. But then you're still very limited with battery life, and here we go into the technological aspects of it. But you know, you're still limited by being prepared by the length of battery that you have.
Mm,
So
yep.
you don't know unless you plan on taking 40 hours worth of GoPro batteries with you, and that's a lot of little batteries.
Yeah, I don't. So I don't know. If Mount Fuji erupts the next couple of months, then maybe it was a Mothman.
It's weird, man. These
I
things
don't
have
know.
happened. They saw them around September 11th. You know, to say nothing of going back to the Silver River Bridge
Or bridge
Silver
in the Ohio
Bridge,
River.
yeah, the
Yeah.
Ohio River. I never get that right. And who knows how, if we go back through recorded history, if these things have been seen in other events.
Well, I mean, I had a train explosion that wrote about happened back in the 30s in the West Virginia mountains. It was at a coal mine, and the guys. A lot of the guys that were on the train or had seen a Mothman, and the next day they had this train explosion, killed I don't know 16 people. Um, and there have been instances, even Chernobyl. Chernobyl supposedly
Mm-hmm.
there was a humanoid flying over the facility a week or so before the incident.
That's the
So
one I missed.
yeah, so apparently it does happen.
Mm-hmm.
So now I got another one here, and I don't know if I read this before or not. It was an abduction and lost time incident. Do you remember me doing that?
Uh, I don't, so give it another whirl. If they have, forgive us, folks. We're human.
Well, I got this. I got this email from a witness down in St. Croix. So here we go. Let's see what you think about it. Over the past 3 weeks, I've had continued contact by email and telephone with a 32-year-old single mother named Sally, who resides in western St. Croix Island in the territory of the U.S. Virgin Islands. Now, Sally originally contacted me through email and described unusual incidents that she experienced during the past 2 years. Now, each of these experiences consisted of lost time or an abduction event,
Mm-hmm.
which occur during the day and the evenings when she's home from work.
Interesting.
She's the supervisor of one of the resorts, offering, those resorts offer tropical paradise getaways.
Is she
She
trying to
asked
say
that
a timeshare?
I not be specific, even though many of her friends and staff are aware of the situation. Now, most of the abduction episodes occur in the evening while she's at home doing household chores. The duration of the lost time varies, but it's usually for 30 minutes to an hour. Now, one particular incident lasted for several hours, which frightened her because her child was alone and vulnerable. Since that episode, her close friend now lives with her and drives her back and forth to work. Her friend BB verified to me that Sally actually disappears during these lost time episodes. And in fact, she stated that her and Sally were in the kitchen cooking dinner one evening and Sally simply vanished. About 20 minutes later, BB found Sally laying on the floor by the couch in the living room. She was slightly disoriented, but able to speak and stand up. BB witnessed a similar episode when Sally had a very bad cold with a fever and was in bed. BB went to check on her about 8:30 p.m. and Sally was gone. About 5 minutes later, she heard Sally calling for her and found Sally nude and shivering in the living room. BB had no explanation for these incidents and swears there's no possible way that Sally is scheming. As soon as the abduction would start, Sally said that she would see a bright flash of light. BB states that she never witnessed a bright flash. During an ordeal, Sally says that she was always laying face down and nude in a wet, cold surface. She is confined somehow to unable to move. Her face is placed in an opening on the surface which restrict her from seeing anything. Her ears are covered by some kind of device that emits a humming sound. Each time a sharp object, most likely a needle, is inserted in her right buttocks and left calf. There's no pain, but there is an uncomfortable pressure around the injection point, then later a sickening sweet taste in her mouth. As soon as those procedures are performed, she is returned. There have been no marks found anywhere in her body. Sally also mentioned that she had a deep cut on her hand from a broken dish, which required 6 stitches. The next evening, she was taken, and when she returned, the wound was completely healed. Now, Sally says that her overall health has been excellent throughout the ordeal. She also states that she no longer suffers from psoriasis on her back, which she had since she was a child. None of the abductions have occurred while Sally was sleeping or in the presence of her young child, who is usually sleeping or taking a nap at the time. There have been there have not been any episodes during the time when Sally has been at her job or anywhere outside of her home. She has never seen any of her captors. There have also been a few abductions where she has not noticed any lost time at all. Sally estimates that she's been abducted approximately 28 times since the first episode on December 5th, 2013. During the 3 weeks I have been conversing with Sally, there have not been any lost time abduction episodes. I don't attribute this to anything that I've done, and according to Sally, there have been time gaps up to 2 months since these events started. It took several conversations with Sally for her to begin feeling comfortable with me, which I understand and appreciate. She was informed from the beginning that it was not only my objective to determine and possibly help her with her situation, but it was also able to tell her story on the blog, which she eventually agreed to. I will continue to monitor this case, update any changes. Your comments are welcome. Now, this case. This is one I've been working on actually for a while. Uh, I've only ever talked to her twice. Most of everything I have talked to her about has been by email. This is, I guess I've been helping her with this for approximately 6 months now, and so far in that 6 months, there hasn't been any other incidents. Now I don't know what happened, but it's an interesting case. I'm going by what she's telling me. I have no way of proving any of this. Uh, Most of the information I have been told was by her friend, Phoebe, but I just put it out there as it was, as I was told. So, you know, we'll see if see if anything else comes up.
You can't do any more than that, right? Just
No,
report it as you
and
get it.
yeah, and it's not a matter of I did much of anything. Basically, just talking to her on occasion, on those 2 occasions, and sending emails back to her. Now, it's kind of funny because I had an incident not long ago that kind of mirrored a little bit what she's been going through, and
Mm-hmm.
I really have questions about it. In fact, I don't really want to go into it a whole lot, though. I have talked to Butch about it. I've talked to a few other people about it. I'm trying to figure out really what happened.
Well, how many abduction cases have you investigated?
Oh, I've had a few.
Yeah.
I've had, yeah, you know, I had a couple before I had the big one with David Eckhart, and since David, probably seven or eight cases that people wanted me to help them with.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I'm no expert at it, and in fact, like I said just a bit ago, I think I was actually involved with something not long ago, and I don't know why all of a sudden I'm still trying to get some facts put together, trying to understand what happened to me. Um, I don't know. I don't know if it's because of you know working with people or I have had other incidences in the past, and uh, it's nothing really major. But I will say one thing: I never, as far as any type, if it was an induction or any type of encounter other than here, I don't want to remember any entities.
Yeah.
So yeah, But
I don't
it's
know, man.
something I may talk about down the road. I may write up about, but right now I'm just not gonna.
I don't
I'm
know if
just
it's
not.
something I actually want to get into, because that
No,
concept scares me.
well, I tell you, of course I had never remembered going through anything like this, but I will tell you one thing. During one point of this incident, I was probably as frightened as I ever have been, and I will admit to that. I mean, I thought I bought the farm.
Wow.
Yeah, and it really shook me up, and that's why I'm kind of you know, concerned and interested in what actually happened. And until I get more information, until I talk to some other people who have some experience in this, even though I have helped people with theirs, I want to get you know, a few more opinions on what exactly I remember, and
Mm-hmm.
go from there.
Yeah, definitely. That's just something I don't know. I don't feel like I'm prepared to deal with something like that yet. Bigfoot's enough for me. I don't know if I even want to remotely get
I don't
into.
think anybody's prepared for it.
Well, that's a good point.
Um, in David's instance, it's been an ordeal for him and his family for, well, I mean, it was 10 years when I started in on it, and he still has occasional encounters and visitations. And it's one of those things that, and I have talked to him about it before, and I put a few things in the book about it, but it may actually require me doing a whole book on it one time. I don't know. I've been thinking about it, but there's just so much.
Mm-hmm.
You really don't know if you really want to go into it. Let's put it that way. It's just so much weird stuff, but there's a lot of stuff in there, a lot of things that happen that do you really want to put it out there? Because I don't want to be freaking everybody out. To be
Yeah,
honest
most
with
definitely, dude.
you. Yeah,
I feel you. Well, it's that time. I think we ought to bring Jay on the program. What do you think?
hey, I think so.
Let's step back. We're going to take a minute, folks. When we come back, Mr. Jay Bachochin from WPI Hunts the Truth. Stay tuned right after this. No music, just dead silence. So smoke 'em if you got 'em. Get a drink. Let's go out to the kitchen and grab ourselves a snack. All right, folks, and we're back. Arcane Radio. Sean Forker, Lon Strickler, and our guest tonight, Mr. Jay Bachochin. Did I say it right, Jay?
You sure did.
How about
Perfect.
that? All right, I didn't bang it up. All right. So, Jay, WPI Hunts the Truth. You do a little bit of everything. You consider yourself a truthologist. And explain to our listeners what a truthologist actually is and what you feel it to be.
Well, honestly, I never considered myself a ghost hunter or a ufologist or a cryptozoologist. It's basically everything across the whole spectrum of the paranormal or the unknown, the bizarre. And I've always taken the approach of what is the truth? I mean, we can see it on TV, we can look on YouTube or Google or take anybody's claims. But for me, it wasn't until I actually got myself out there to discover, what these truths are, to see if they're even all connected.
I hate when I hit the mute button. I'm sorry. Excellent.
You're already muting me there, Sean?
I'm muting me because,
Uh,
this microphone is so silent, you can hear everything.
yeah,
Mm,
I can almost hear an echo in the background. That's how it's picking
That's
up.
just me being so loud. I'm
There,
intensely
there.
loud. I'm so excited about the show tonight, dude, because we've wanted to have you on for some time, and it finally worked out. And now that we got the truthologist stuff away, a lot of things that you do, and it's not just a solo effort, right? You got a group of you together.
Yeah, you know what? I started off with a very fairly large group back in 2007, 2008. As in some groups go, they kind of teammates come and go.
Mm-hmm.
They still remain friends. But it wasn't until 2014 that I'm pretty much going on a solo base with this, and networking with other great researchers. So it's really, really worked out, and WPI Hunts the Truth has really evolved over the years.
So, hey Jay, now you sent this a video over to Sean and I the other day. You called the Creeper.
Yeah.
Now you're over in the Kettle Moran area, and I've talked to Linda about Kettle Moran a couple of times, and I know it's a creepy place. So, what's the Creeper about?
Well, I have been researching this certain area in the Kettle Moraine for, it's been going on 3 years, and I am going to the same area. Now, it's not that I just love night hikes and to go out in the wilderness. And, of course I do. But each time, I wouldn't say each time, maybe every other time or whatnot, I'm actually stumbling across, whether it's prints or wood knocks or vocalizations, just things I can't explain. I mean, they're classic Bigfoot activity, yet I have not seen who's made the print, who knocked, who made the vocals.
Mm.
Going out with looking at that one video that was actually taken in August of 2014, I was out there with Kevin, my brother-in-law, and we're basically doing the same thing we normally do. And if you guys watch that video, which is actually on my YouTube channel, you will actually hear something fairly large that actually is moving and actually circling us. That's actually probably one of the most hair-raising times. I have had a couple since 2007, but you see me in the video. I'm actually taking a kind of a selfie testimony when this was going on, and I forget the camera's on my face, so you can actually almost see the fear in my face as this is kind of going on.
I can tell you from experience that's no fun.
Right. And
I
the
mean,
thing
it
is,
is, but
it was August, and so you got heavy greenery, and we heard this thing actually stepping around us. Did you ever see that the movie Desperado, where he would walk through the shadow, and before his face would be shown, another shadow would hit his face? Well, I always refer to this as the Desperado as well as the Creeper. It was almost visible, and just as you think you could see it, it's not there.
huh.
And we're checking it out again, and all of a sudden it's coming from right where we were at and kind of flanking us on the left and circling from behind. So, whether you could sit there and say, okay, it was a Bigfoot or a dogman or a wolf or, a cougar, that's actually what I'm trying to figure out is these certain things. When you're out in the woods, it's uncontrolled. It's an uncontrolled environment. You're out there with nature, and you really don't know actually what it is until you see it. But in this case, whatever it was actually, it was circling us. It's kind of freaky.
Yeah, it's a frightening experience. And I
Yeah.
mean, like you said, you don't know what it is, but because there's a lot of variables there, it could be a lot of things. But even some of the more known things that are out there, you still don't want circling you.
Oh, exactly. I mean, the DNR out here in southeast Wisconsin claims there are no cougars around here.
Oh, shit, that's in
I,
West Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I think it's a national thing, but yeah, I beg to differ, because actually it was about, I think it was last February. Linda and I were out in the kettle. We came across some fairly nice size cougar tracks in the snow.
Hmm.
So they are out here, but now, I try to debunk this, saying, all right, if it's a cougar, aren't cougars a little more stealthier? Sitting in trees or waiting for the meal to walk by to pounce on them. And these are the type of things I do. I mean, I spend countless hours out in the field, but I also spend a lot of countless hours researching and trying to learn calls, tracks, behaviors of animals, just so that I can try to classify this as an unknown. And in fact, that's where I'm at right now. I call it the creeper because whatever it was creeping around us, but I can't tell you what it was.
Yeah,
Have you
definitely.
have you guys been experiencing any of these coy wolves up in that area?
You know what? I have not. And that actually, I just listened to you on the other show, on Eric's show, when you guys were talking about this, about the skinwalkers and the dogmen, but not that anything has really, been known. Well, actually, I should say about 2 weeks ago, one of my friends up in Palmyra actually was driving her car, and she actually said she almost hit the biggest wolf she's seen.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
depending on what kind that is, again, I'm getting this secondhand. But again, being a native to this area, you kind of know your dogs, your coyotes. So I take her word on it. So is there these big wolves running around here? I don't know. I mean, possibly.
Well, I mean, for the most part, the coy wolves that are being seen in PA are, and also other areas. In fact, I've talked to people who've seen them up in Maine and a few other areas. I mean, they look a lot like a coyote, but they do
Okay.
have that wolf look to them,
Right.
and they look like a large coyote, and with a bigger and thicker tail, and they are somewhat aggressive.
Right.
Because coyote isn't really that aggressive unless it's they're going after food or something that's already been killed or scavenged. But as far as walking up on somebody and just standing its ground, that's unusual for a coyote.
Right.
Now, I you know, and apparently that's a lot of what's going on. So I was just interested if you guys have been experiencing that up there.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, not anything too. I mean, we hear our coyotes. Actually, I could walk out my back door. As a matter of fact, last night I recorded just packs of them, two sets. They were just going crazy, and it's like
yeah.
you see your subdivision, and they're just there. So, but as far as the wolves themselves, no, not that I'm aware of. At least nobody's reporting them.
Okay. Yeah, I was just interested. I didn't know what you guys were running into. Now you mentioned Linda. Um, Now I know you and Linda were investigating this about a year ago. This canid type odd thing. I don't know if it was a dog man or a type of wolf or whatever. Uh, you know what I'm talking about. Could you explain what you guys were going after at that time?
Well, you know what? I would love to, but this is actually part of Linda's research,
Okay.
and
Okay.
with that, I
I thought
definitely
maybe.
yes, I respect her research and keep her confidentiality with her clients. But yes, I mean you're on the right track because I know that you've talked to both of us on that.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like it's something unusual. I since Butch and I have been working on this thing in PA with the dogman and stuff.
A lot of
And a little
sightings
bit
up
of
here.
information. Ah,
A lot of sightings up here.
yeah, it's a lot of weird sightings too, and we're just comparing notes now because any type of information we can get that can kind of help us hone down to what we're running into or what
Well,
people what people are reporting.
Well,
Uh,
exactly. And the thing is, I know that you get the great deal of the reports as well as Linda does out here in Wisconsin. I've also started up with uh, my own little reported campaign because I mean, right now I'm not writing any books or blogging or anything like that. This is actually kind of my own personal quest of hunting the truth, and to be able to help validate the people that are seeing these to be able to come forward, without any judgment. Because believe me, the stuff that I'm seeing out in the kettle doesn't just stop with a creeper or what you would think a Bigfoot would be. We're getting a little bit on the side of the paranormal side of being able to witness actual white orbs out in the woods with this activity being around.
mhm.
I've only seen it 3 times in the past 3 years, but it's fascinating. Actually, the last time that me and Mary Marshall of Paranormal MD, she actually has been networking and with me and researching, getting her away from the city ghost hunts, getting her out in the woods looking for a 9-foot creature. But the last time we were out there, we saw an amazing display of these white like they were like kind of a dull fused wall of lights that were kind of just popping high and low. It was just crazy. And the thing is, we didn't film it. It was dark, but
Mm.
we're just sitting there in awe of what's going on. But after she saw them, that actually validates some things that me and some other researchers have seen over the past couple years in a different area, but the same neighboring kettle. And we can't explain them. We don't know what we're dealing with now.
Mm.
Is this Native American burial mounds, or is this you hear the theories of portals, even though they're a hypothesis, and not proven. We don't know what we're dealing with, but that's why we keep going out there with all of our different pieces of equipment, is to just keep peeling that onion, see what we can find.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of researchers can kind of verify that as well because, well, and I just think of the area where Pennsylvania Bigfoot has their research up there in near Brockton,
Mm-hmm.
and some of the stuff that they told me that they've seen up there, and some other areas of people that experience all kinds of different phenomena in one area. I mean, they be out there Bigfoot hunting, and they've got the typical Bigfoot sign stuff being thrown and this and that, but then they start seeing lights, uh, other phenomena, weird sounds, shadows,
The
other
lights are
odd,
reported a lot, actually.
yeah,
But
and
but
that's
yet but but yet it doesn't seem like a lot of people want to talk about it. It seems like the ghost people don't want to talk to the UFO people. The UFO people don't want to talk to the cryptozoologists. It's kind of this circle where we're all studying pretty much the truth. We're trying to get to the bottom of it, but yet nobody wants to collaborate these efforts to see if is it possible that they're all connected, I mean, everything from ghosts to UFOs to cryptids.
Well,
I
I
mean,
can say, with a certain amount of, authority that a lot of researchers in Pennsylvania that investigate Bigfoot, they investigate the whole spectrum.
hmm
yeah.
But then you get a lot of research in Pennsylvania that, you go outside the state and you don't talk to another researcher from Pennsylvania. They're like, some of those Pennsylvanians are a little nuts.
right.
Stan Gordon gets that a lot. And
I
Stan's
bet.
probably one of the most respected researchers in terms of his approach and for the tenure, over 50 years of researching these phenomena. And he still leaves it open to interpretation. He'll never say that's what it is. He'll hint, he'll suggest, but he'll
hmm
never come out and say it. Even myself, I kind of like to keep all these different facets separate. I don't like to connect them. I
Yeah.
just personally, like to keep each one of my categories separate. But there's some times where I scratch my head and wonder, is there a connection with some of these things?
I'm right there with you. I like to keep everything as realistically an unknown. It's so easy to say it's classic Bigfoot activity, right? So let's label it Bigfoot. But I guess not until you personally are standing in front of this supposed myth to be able to say, okay, I see you, you are there. Now that opens up another can of worms of questions of what are you, where did you come from, right? You can discover it and say, yeah, it does exist. I mean, all these claims all over the world, Lon, you could vouch for it. I mean, everybody who's sending you reports, or to Linda, I mean, they're not all crazy, or they can't be all misidentifications. Some could, sure, but not all of them. And that's where I'm kind of stuck right now, is these are all
Well,
possibilities.
It's that poster on the wall on the X
Yeah,
Files. I want to
yeah,
believe, and I'm
yeah,
there
right,
with you. I want to believe, but sometimes I need something more than just my desire.
right. I hear
well,
you.
I will say, as opposed to what I used to get years and years ago, as far as sighting reports and witness reports and accounts, there is a mixed bag now in a lot of stuff I get. In fact, it's just not one. It's not just one phenomena. It's several phenomena, several different types of phenomena at one time. It's not your standard. Well, I saw this and that was it. There's always, for the most part, something else tied to it. And that's the reason why I do believe that there's a thread to a lot of this. I mean, just like me, I was going back to what I was saying about Rockton. I mean, those guys have been up there and they have experienced so many weird things up there.
I have.
It's a hot zone. Yeah, I know you have, and it's a hot zone, and it's just like a lot of other places that we have investigator places that we plan to investigate this year. That the phenomena isn't just one thing; it's several things.
I have to tell you.
And for the most part, there has also been a lot of activity as far as UFO and unexplained uh, aerial phenomena that is starting to tie into these things. People are noticing it as well. So, I mean, what's that mean? I don't know.
You know,
Right.
For years, Stan's been
So, yeah,
saying the same thing. But a lot of people just are trying to ignore Stan what he was saying, and
you can.
quite frankly,
right.
he's right. I mean, there's a lot of weird stuff going out there that just can't be explained. But I mean, the people that are seeing it, they're bona fide witnesses, and I really at the point now where I just don't ignore anything. I mean, I will check into it and I will try to verify it. And there are a lot of things I get sometimes that just aren't true, and you just throw it out. But for the most part, uh, people believe they see something, they try to explain it, and they want answers,
Hmm.
and that's why they come to us.
You're right.
Right. Right. But I always go back to, even though it's classic, who's throwing the rocks out of the woods? Now, I can tell you the one kind of funny story. When Linda and I were out a different trip up in the Kettle, and we thought, why not just kind of shake a small sapling and kind of show some aggression like a gorilla. So actually, Linda goes up to it, and it's not that big of a sapling, and she kind of shakes it, real good shake. And then she said, "Hey, why don't you give it a try? You're bigger, you're stronger. Just give it all you got." So I'm there, and I've got my hat on, my sunglasses were on top of my head, and I'm just shaking this thing like, come on, do you see me out there? And next thing I know, because I'm looking down, I don't want anything to fall in my face. And all of a sudden, my sunglasses fall down, and I'm still looking at them, and I'm still shaking. And all of a sudden, I feel like this knot on the side of my head, and I stop and I get up, and Linda's out on the trail. I walk over to her, and I'm kind of rubbing my head, and I'm like, I don't know. I think I felt like Gilligan from Gilligan's Island, like I shaked a coconut loose or something. And I mean, it was really weird. And I noticed there was a pine cone, on the ground where I was shaking, and I walk over to it and pick the pine cone up. The thing is, what, like, there was no weight to it; it didn't even weigh an ounce. Then I started noticing, well, this was a sapling; it wasn't even a pine cone, pine tree. And all of a sudden, I'm looking around, and there's nothing on the ground, and I'm like, what hit my head? Now my head hurt for the next 4 hours after that. So the
Hmm.
only thing I can result on possibly is it was a rock or a heavy object hit me when it did that. I mean, again, there was no branches that fell, nothing like that fell out of the tree. There was no bird nest with, marble sized, eggs out of a nest. Nothing hit me like that. But again, we never found a rock, so we can only speculate. Well, it wasn't until a week later when me and investigator Sanjay Singhal were actually walking into one of our areas. Actually, first time investigating with Sanjay, it was a really good time. All of a sudden, we're getting, it sounded like acorns being dropped out of a tree, except that they weren't falling down; they were going through the trees, so they were being
Hmm.
hurled. And so we're walking a little bit longer, and finally, I got fed up with it, and I pick up a medium-sized rock, and I heave it back into the woods, and it hits a tree, makes a nice sound, and Sanjay's like, "Hey, that was good." I go, "Yeah, watch. Now they're gonna peg me because I threw the rock." By the time I said rock, a bunch of rocks came hurling right at my feet. Yes. So you know what I mean? We can sit here and try to say, that there's a person out there who's following me around doing this. Is it possible? I guess, but I don't announce when I'm going, where I'm doing my research. So it's things like that. Who's throwing the rocks? Who's banging the trees? Who's doing these weird vocalizations that no known animal here in southeast Wisconsin, can pick up? So this is the part where I say I'm not a cryptozoologist. I'm a truthologist. I'm going to get to the bottom of this. I want to. I'd like to, like Sean was saying, I want to believe, but I'm still not seeing it. So I've got to be skeptical, but open-minded, and just keep approaching my research with, the best intent of, hunting the truth.
Have you guys ever taken a clairvoyant out there with you?
I have not out there.
Um,
No.
I was telling Linda that a long time before before I ever heard her talk about Kettle Moraine, I used to get some really odd UFO reports out there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean there were a lot of weird reports. I mean, actually craft. In fact, I had a landing report from there. Oh God, about 10 years ago.
Mm.
And the guy even threw me a map. I got to dig that map up. And I was just wondering if you had ever taken kind of going on the fringe and taking a clairvoyant or intuitive out there and seeing what they can pick up.
Yeah, not as of yet, but I don't think my research is going to stop anytime soon, because the few reports that I have been getting, I throw it out there as in reported, to WPI Hunts the Truth.com, and it could be from anything from ghosts, UFOs, Bigfoot, and I've been getting tons of some ghost, reports. Some UFOs, the triangular shaped UFOs up here, some orange fireballs that actually seem to be really bright, stop, and then actually change direction, unlike a plane, just a 90-degree turn. And then again, things like, Dogman,
Mm.
which again don't seem to be around the same area where you think it would be, on good old Bray Road. But
Yeah.
because it's vast up here, I mean, it's incredible. Once you get out here, it's, if you're not in a car, you are just, it's vast. That's all I can say. I've spent, I document everything I do, with all my reports, documentation of any evidence, who I've gone out with the dates and the time. And I was really shocked to see that I was actually out in 2015, over 250 hours out in the field. That's
That's a
not
lot.
even, yeah, and that's not even doing research, in my own spare time. This is actually being out in the field. It's like I don't want to read about it. I don't want to see a movie about it, and documentary about it. I want to go out there. I want to be out there, and so that's been my drive for the past 3 years right now.
Well, what areas of the state are you concentrating on? What parts?
Well, I mean, right now it'd be southeastern Wisconsin. I'm also taking any reports, from northern Illinois, western, and same thing. I've done some work out in La Crosse, which would be western
Mm.
Wisconsin.
Yeah.
But I'm also getting reports as going up to Door County, Green Bay, and Iron Mountain, Eagle Waters, Michigan, Paulding,
Mm.
where the Paulding Light is.
Mm.
So I'm kind of, I don't want to say spread thin, but I am, but I'm taking reports wherever I can, because I'm not going to just take these reports and do nothing with them. This is where I'd like to be able to share with somebody who's going to be able to help me, like Linda. Contact her. I've actually had somebody up in the Racine area, where I've actually have what looks like it almost looks like the biggest goat print or deer print, or I mean, bigger than an elk print, with a deep impression, where there's actually been some reports in the past of goat man up here.
Mm.
So
Mm.
it's, and I'm working with a few different researchers out here regarding that too, but it's just, it's all over the board.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know you've been into a few things. I mean, I know you contacted me. I don't know how long it's been. You were talking about the Paulding Lights, and
Yes. You remember that?
yeah. What? Explain a little bit of what you experienced when you were up there.
Well, I'll tell you, we were going up there, with Aaron Houdini, a couple years ago. And
Mhm.
there's been so many people trying to debunk the Paulding light. And I don't know if you've ever been there or if you've ever
I've
read
had a
about
lot
it.
of people that have been up there. Yeah.
And there's a lot of reports that you get to the vantage point and you could sit there and you see this light or orb just kind of, get bigger. It looks like it's coming closer to you and it looks like it goes right over you. You hear these reports, but the past couple times I've been up there, what you're seeing is, headlights from almost 7 miles away.
Hmm.
We've actually got on two-way radios and had somebody go 7 miles away with a green laser pen, and we were able to see it 7 miles away. Okay,
Hmm.
so we're thinking, okay, is it possible that we debunk the Paulding light? Well, it wasn't until the next day when somebody approached, showed me a picture that they took off the trail cam, and I think that's the one that I actually shared with you to get your input on it.
Hmm.
And it is the bizarrest thing. It's still unexplained. That's all I can
Hmm.
tell you right now. And this has gone through some really top channels too. Um,
Hmm.
but what is out there? You know what I mean? It's one of those things where you think you can debunk it and prove it, but there it is, and
I
you
don't
can't
know.
explain it.
I think there's a time fold out there somewhere. Really, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw that picture I showed you of the woman that was driving through there, and the alien showed up in her back
Yes.
seat.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
there's some weird stories.
Well, I'm
On,
gonna I'm gonna tell you one of my weird stories, okay? And it does have something to do with the Elkhorn, Wisconsin area.
Mhm.
I do a lot of patrolling up there, and believe me, it's not called stalking. It's patrolling. All right, I've got three dash cams in so many different directions. They're running 24/7. I'm waiting to capture the holy grail of something, but I haven't yet. And I'll drive, moderately slow, late Friday night or Saturday night or whatnot when I'm up there. And I was doing about maybe 15 miles an hour. Now, don't laugh at me because I don't tell a lot of people this story, but I'm driving and we're going right past the field. And I swear on anything that for a second I saw a two-dimensional, it almost looked like a transparent drawing of a standing wolf with its arms bent in and its face looking up towards the sky. For a second, as a matter of fact, I slammed on the brakes. I was with another researcher at the time, and of course, there's nothing there. So it's these things where it's like, okay, is it pareidolia? Did my headlights hit a telephone pole weird? What did I see? And it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen with me because as much as Mulder's poster as I want to believe, I'm still going to question it, and I still do. But whatever it was scared the crap out of me for a second. So, but it wasn't there. It was there for an instant. How do you
well, I
explain
mean,
that? You know?
I wouldn't surprise me though. I'll be quite honest with you. Uh, Over the years, these even with Bigfoot reports or upright canid reports, there have been instances where people just seen something similar to that. It's just for an instant. It's almost like you're looking into another. You're looking beyond the veil just for a second, or it's showing
Right?
itself just for a second. And no, that wouldn't surprise me at all. I wouldn't
Yeah,
laugh
but
at that.
but that's what I'm saying is we can talk about it,
Yeah.
and I couldn't even tell my wife. It's kind of like it's kind of like, dude, you better stop doing what you're doing. You're getting too far down the rabbit hole. But it's things that I do take note of because like I've always said, when we used to do a lot of ghost investigation in people's houses,
Mhm.
when researchers go out, investigators go out to a house, you already have a suggestive thought that there's a ghost there or something paranormal. So you're already going in with that suggestive thought. And then it's funny what the mind will do, especially if we are like molders and we all want to believe. If we want to believe there's a ghost, when the fridge turns on at 3 a.m., it's going to be a ghost. Or if something creeps around us and does a circle, we're going to think it's a Bigfoot. It's all suggestive thought. However, um, I try to go out there exactly with that intention, saying, okay, I know what I'm doing out here. Be skeptical. It's an uncontrolled environment. And then, boom, when something comes up, and it does come up, then I'm already trying to dismiss it. Like, did I really see a transparent wolf? I mean, it literally was over 7 feet tall. I remember seeing it. So, am I losing my mind? Possibly, or maybe not. But I do take note of those things. So
Mm.
bizarre stuff.
Yeah, I was just looking on a map right now, where the Kittle Marine is. I just forgot where exactly it was and what part it was. And yeah, that's a hot area in there. That
Yeah.
it seems that area right there around Lake Winnebago, there is a lot of weird stuff that happens around Appleton, down Sheboygan. I get a lot of reports around Sheboygan, uh, for
Yeah.
whatever reason. I don't know why, but I do.
I actually got one. I don't know if you've got one in, it was actually in the Jackson, Wisconsin.
hmm,
I don't know if you've ever heard of Black River State Forest.
hmm,
Um, I actually had somebody contact me with something. They didn't see anything, but it was the sound, it was the walk. And of course, because it's reported, I keep everything confidential. I'm not going to go out and blast their
right,
story because that's what I tell them. But at the same time, I already have two other accounts, just like the Kettle Moraine, further north of exactly where they reported it, like 7 years ago.
hmm,
So, you know what I'm saying? It's things like this that really kind of help us put the pieces together. And of course, when we network like this, you know what I mean?
yeah.
So it's definitely, there's something out here. I don't want to say what it is. You know what I mean? I don't want to say Dogman, Bigfoot,
Yeah.
UFOs, aliens, little grays. But at the same time, if you read it between the lines, this is what I do.
Right. Well, let's go across the state a little bit over by the Mississippi, and I'm coming to La Crosse. What in the hell is going on out there? I mean, is it still happening, or are these guys still turning up dead, or is this
Yeah,
kind of
well,
blown up?
like yeah, as usually, and maybe we can do the full story another time. We could briefly touch on it, but
I understand that.
yes,
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
sure, and I'm basically part of the Hidden Truth documentary DVD about the 10 lacrosse college boys that have drowned since 1997 in different times, but almost the same, high blood alcohol content, going out and partying with friends, missing, as soon as they leave, um, sometimes not found for several weeks later, even though they investigated along the Mississippi River right in front of the cross, and yet, what do you know, the victim shows up there.
Right.
So what's going on out there is, again, definitely a paranormal case because there is no answer for it yet. I'm sure you guys have heard David Pilates' missing 411,
Right.
um, being worldwide, not just in La Crosse. However, of course, La Crosse was, a place where we really wanted to focus because, the town was really kind of, nobody wants to talk about it. It's like it's taboo to talk about. The official party line is that it was binge drinking and bad luck. But during my investigations, we went right across the river, a couple miles up north to Winona, Minnesota, and they have just as big as a party town. In fact, their levee right on the Mississippi is even more easy accessible to fallen and drown. But yet there are no reports from there, and that's just 2 miles up on the Minnesota side. So what's going on in
Well,
La Crosse itself?
that's what it's hard for me to understand because there in La Crosse, now there are bars near the river there, but you got to go out a good bit to get out in the water, and
Well,
especially if it's frozen.
yeah, and exactly. And the thing is, when we did our documentary, we actually walked the steps of some of the victims that were at whatever last bar, and it's about a 3 block walk to Riverside Park. Um, but again, a lot of people think, all right, well, they're binge drinking, it's kind of a downward slope. So when they walk out of a bar, the path of less resistance is going to be, heading towards the Mississippi. Well, at the same time, like you were saying, even if some of it was frozen, which was actually the first case back in 1997, you'd still have to walk so far out. So, if you're that intoxicated, how are you even walking? So if you're not that intoxicated, you still have some sort of self, self-aware. You'd
Right.
think. Different circumstances for each one of them, though, because in one of the cases, there was actually a set of keys and a wallet left out, like on a little statue outside Mississippi, almost as if this person wanted to, you know, get in the river for a second because he's going to come back because that's where he put his wallet and keys, right?
Yeah.
So it's weird things like that. So that's definitely an X Files case. That's one that's still ongoing. We actually put out a DVD. Neil Sanders, Scott Marcus, and myself 2 years ago, and it's available online. It's
Yeah.
just it's a fascinating story.
Yeah, I looked at it, and of course, you had me look at the case before that,
Yes.
and yeah, it's pretty odd. I mean, the circumstances and how they happened, and what was behind it. I mean, it is. It's just odd, And I had my theories, but God, I don't know.
Well,
It's
you're 100% right. That's where the truthologist comes in, right?
yeah,
It's what is it? You still don't know. I
uh,
mean, there's a lot of people can come out, and it's always going to be, theory or their opinion, theory, speculation of what something is, but where is the hardened proof? You know what I mean? And even so, let's say I even saw it firsthand. If I don't have the proof, I'm only telling you a claim. I'm only telling you a story.
yeah,
So this is where the documentation is so important, and uh, it's also being credible. It's every time I go out, I'm not seeing a UFO or a Bigfoot or a ghost. Every time, if there's something out there, it could be an animal. I will say it's unknown. I'm not going to go on the line and just say I'm a Bigfooter and this is what I'm going to do. However, I do think there is something out there that I've only told you the tip of the
yeah,
iceberg that's going on out there.
yeah. I think something's going on, but I think I personally think there's a connection with someone or something or some group or something. But yeah, I'm not gonna espouse anything right now. You and I talked about it, so I don't know. Anyway,
Exactly.
speaking, sticking with lacrosse now.
Yes.
Of course, lacrosse is famous for the man bat. That was Linda's case.
Right.
Has that lacrosse man bat thing ever been seen since the original sighting?
No, and you know what? Actually, and I mean, who knows if the man bat is something that looks like a Sasquatch, but its wings are folded up and back, and it's not flying. There
Yeah,
still has been a lot of Bigfoot sightings out there on the bluffs. And they actually call them the water spirits out there with
uh,
the whole chunk, um, the Native Americans out there. But as far as a flying man bat, not that I'm aware of. Again, this goes back to I'm hoping that people will report that. I don't care if it's to me, to Linda, to you. I mean, but just to get that out, just so we can have that one more case documented. Because you're right, I have
hmm
not heard anything out in La Crosse besides, well, the investigation we're doing about the
hmm
mysterious drownings, a few Bigfoot cases, but other than that, no other type of cryptid. No.
Yeah, I've always wondered if anybody had ever seen anything after what she had reported, the original sighting, and in 2006,
Right.
and if anything else had come up. And quite frankly, it wasn't too long ago that I went back and started looking through old reports to see if anything similar to that did show up in that area, and I haven't seen anything. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
that's just an initial report.
Exactly. Well, that's what I'm. Anything that comes up, I do keep you abreast to it, just like Linda. I'll send something over to her, but she's always one step ahead of me, no matter what. That's the beauty of it. She appreciates it, but she does
Yeah,
know. That's good. That's what I love about Linda.
yeah,
She's on it. At the same time, I also network with Eric Altman, so we have this big network of chain going, and that's the beauty of it. Like I said, I don't blog, I don't write books, I'm not going to even make a movie on this. But at the same time, if I can help one person validate their claims, then I've done what I've set out to do. I'm hunting the truth, and I'm trying to help people. So, and network. So,
recently they had this phenomenon out your way, and you told me that you had even heard it with these ice quakes.
oh yeah.
Can you explain that? I think it's so fascinating.
Well,
Ice quakes.
yeah. I mean, you'd never heard it. Well, actually, if you've ever been on a frozen lake, right? A big lake, you hear that ice pushing and cracking. It almost sounds like gunshots going out. I mean, it really does. But in this case, what they're talking about is kind of, I don't want to say the continent or the state, but a certain area that is compressing due to the cold, from it not expanding, but compressing. And it's almost where you kind of get that, almost like earthquake plates, shifting. And then you can actually just hear it rolling. And I mean, people can hear this and they have no idea where it's coming from. It's almost like the skyquakes, when you're hearing these things. But this is what, the meteorologists will say, the one that just happened, like a couple weeks ago, was it? I'm trying to think when that was, when it happened. Right. But it's kind of, it's basically, the cold, everything compressing into a certain area. And that's what they said it did. I don't know. They never said how big, the shift was or whatnot, but it was kind of cool. I mean, people have heard it as far down as Kenosha County. And that's considerable distance from where it happened.
Can you feel anything?
No, you know what? I never heard anybody said they felt it, but I would imagine that if you were closer by it, probably the initial shock would probably send out kind of the shock wave.
Like a wave,
Or who knows? I mean, if it was directly underneath you, I'm sure it would most likely pounce things off your house. Yeah, but again, the further you are away, the more you're just going to kind of hear more of almost, I don't want to say a sonic boom, but it is almost like that. It's kind of like, it just keeps going.
That's weird.
Yeah, it is, but it's cool because as soon as I hear that, it's like, I'm driving over there to see what's going on. It's kind of like back in 2011 with Clintonville, Wisconsin, the Clintonville booms. They kept experiencing things sounding like explosions under the ground, which very well could have been fracking, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I remember maybe the winter of 2012, the Clintonville, is that what it was? That area around there where they were getting these big boom sounds? Yeah.
Actually, I caught a sound of it, and it's actually on my YouTube channel. I posted several years ago. You can hear it. It's bizarre. It's actually, if you keep listening to it, because I loop it over and over and over, it sounds like a T-Rex from Jurassic World or Jurassic Park. It does. A lot of people think that's what it sounds like, but it's incredible because nobody could figure it out, and it was making national news of what the Clintonville booms were. I had to go up there. It was a 6-hour drive, but I don't care. I just get in the car and do it.
Well, that upper Midwest, including Michigan and even up into Canada. These booming sounds seem to be kind of common up in that area. I don't know what it's from. I mean, there are a lot that have happened around Detroit that people don't understand either. I don't know. Is it because of the old salt mine, the old salt caverns and stuff?
Well, the thing is, what I always tell people to do, I mean, because a lot of times you're hearing this, not feeling it in the ground, but hearing it in the sky. And the first place I would tell people to look up and research is CERN, the Hydro Collider out in Switzerland, and research what that's doing. Okay, now I'm sure you've heard of it.
Yeah.
Do a little bit more digging and just keep digging and keep digging. Next thing you know, you're going to find out that, and I don't know for certain, just like Bigfoot, UFOs, or aliens, but I tend to feel that HARP, the HARP project, and CERN is doing something within our within our weather, and I don't mean like, the old Get Smart where you press a button and you're going to make a tornado appear in Kansas.
Yeah. In other
But
words, you're saying that it's causing phenomena other places because of what it's doing.
it is very well possible, because the
Yeah.
skyquakes did not really start picking up
Yeah.
until I think about 2010, after CERN fired the second time. And each time that they're doing this, they keep increasing the power. And every time they do, just start looking on YouTube and start searching strange sounds in the sky. And you're going to find out that they're happening just weeks ago, after CERN fired. Can you totally put those two together? Again, no, I'm not there, and I don't know. I'm not I'm not a nuclear scientist or anything like that. But I could tell you that these are just the kind of the pieces I try to put together.
What what specifically are you working on now? You got any specific projects you're working on?
No, right now I continue my research up in the kettle, and that's big. It's not really a project that's going to go mainstream. I do have somebody following me around, documenting it, so it could turn into a documentary. But again, this documentary will be more for educational, more for hunting the truth than it would be for putting it out there to sell or whatnot. But basically, it's how I keep busy, is my research there, because it's not just walking in the woods hoping to find a Bigfoot. It's walking into the woods trying to figure out, what are these lights? What are these red little beady eyes in the dark staring at me? What were they? I mean, these things happen to me out there. So it's that besides my two full-time jobs and my two young kids and my wife, is enough to keep me busy without having any other
I feel you there.
Well, I tell you, if I ever ended up in Wisconsin for an extended period of time to do research, I think the one thing that fascinates me more than anything up there, besides the Dogman and the Bigfoot and everything else, are all these old sightings years and years ago of lake monsters. Now, I'm talking about the Lake Mendota monster. They said there was one in Rock Lake, Pewaukee Lake, and in fact, I had a report out of Pewaukee Lake not long ago, and Koshkonong, the other lake. And these are old reports, and I mean, I think there were from the 1920s and 1940s, but as far back as like the 1800s.
Right.
Yeah, I know there was a book written in the 40s. It wasn't a big book. It was put out by the Wisconsin Folklore Society, but it was titled Sea Serpents, though it was in lakes. But they were talking about those lakes and a couple other ones, including Lake Michigan, where there've been all these lake monster sightings. And I didn't know anything about this stuff. I hadn't even heard anything like that in Wisconsin.
I'm telling you, I think we're one of the overlooked states. Because I listen to and research just about every cryptid that I can, but it always seems that it's either Michigan or Ohio, Pennsylvania. You know what I mean? It's all over here, and then it seems to go out to the West Coast. And I'm like, you guys, look in Wisconsin. There is more here than just cheese or brats.
Well,
or beer.
I was always fascinated with Devil Lake in that area there.
Yeah,
but,
right.
I remember a lot that's happened over that area. But when I started reading about some of these other ones, from back in the 1800s, it's some pretty weird stuff. And most of them are always described like either a huge snake or a dragon-like type of thing.
Right. Yeah.
And not dissimilar to what like you have at Loch Ness or in Lake Champlain.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean and you just never hear about them.
No, and I mean you don't. And again, I keep going back to, and maybe that's Wisconsin's fault for not reporting it. I mean, there's good enough people that do, but there's only so many researchers and people that are doing what we do, that can only be in so many places and can only do so much. But I would rather just take a load of reports and be able to hand these things off and let's research into these and document them, because I have heard about the the sea creatures or the lake monsters up here, but you don't hear enough about them. It
Yeah, you
seems
don't
like
hear
it's
much of
been
anything.
it's basically Beast of Bray Road and a few Bigfoot sightings, and that's about it.
Yeah. Yep. Afraid so.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
I
still,
know
shaking about the cheese and bratwurst comments. I thought
that.
I'm
Well,
going to Wisconsin just for that.
where were you on that one, Sean?
I was there. Nobody heard me, but
You
I
were
was
there. You were drinking and eating them, huh?
I tell you what, man. When I go to Wisconsin and we hang out, we got to get the best beer, the best brats, and the best cheese in Wisconsin.
It's all right here. It's all around me.
We got to make it happen.
I can't escape the cheeseheads here. See, I'm definitely I'm a native.
Yeah, he's not a Packers fan. He's a Bears fan.
That's right. I was born in Illinois. I'm a Chicago Bears fan. I'll admit it.
Got to stay true.
Stay true, exactly. But it's definitely interesting. I don't know what's going to be coming out for for myself, my group, in the future. But we do still keep our ear to the cross, grindstone of the news that's coming out there. So that's always, there could be definitely a follow up with the Hidden Truth Part 2. We're definitely going to be looking into more of this stuff here. But as of right now, it's just pretty much my research and trying to put the word out there to report it at WPIHuntsTheTruth.com. And that could even be just, it could be from anywhere, but if it's around Wisconsin, Illinois, Minnesota, Michigan, these are the areas that I can easily get access to. I mean, I'd love to come out by you guys too. So
I heard a rumor you might be out this way.
Oh, you heard correctly. Actually, in May I'm going to be in Western Pennsylvania.
Yep.
Are you going to be there?
I'm going to try my best.
Sweet.
A lot going on at that time. There's so many conferences and events happening.
I know, but you know what? I'm going to be there, so you got to be there.
Yeah, I know. I got to at least make a day visit down to see what's going on there.
Oh, how far away do you live?
Everything gets scheduled in the spring. It's, I don't know. You're right. I mean, it seems like everything is scheduled in the spring.
Depending on where the actual location is, Jim, about 4 hours away.
Okay.
Pennsylvania's a big state. People, I'm right smack dab in the north central part of the state, so it's 4 hours to Pittsburgh, about 3.5 hours to Pittsburgh, 3.5 hours to Philadelphia, and about 3 hours to you, Lon?
About 4 hours.
About 4 hours to you. So, I have to travel a while to get to anywhere where stuff's happening.
Exactly. So it better be worth it. But yeah, I know. I meant definitely. I'm really excited about this workshop camp, and just honestly to get out of Wisconsin. I love it. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I don't like the cheeseheads, but I mean, I do. But just to get out of here and research somewhere different, especially a place like Pennsylvania, I'm really excited about putting that under my belt too.
Pennsylvania ought to run a campaign on their paranormal activity. They had paranormal PA, some sort of. They got to figure that out in a marketing campaign.
Yeah, maybe we'll do that.
That'd be good.
Well, any final thoughts, Lon?
Well, I was just gonna tell Jay I'm gonna move back up PA in the middle of the year.
Yeah, he is coming back home.
Well, great.
Yeah. No, I don't think I have anything else to say.
You left Lon speechless, Jay.
Hey, you know what?
I
I just want to say I appreciate you guys having me on and listen to me babble, because I know I can babble with the best of them.
Well, it's good stuff. All good stuff.
Oh, good. Thanks.
And I think our listeners are going to really appreciate that. And folks, as always, if you didn't listen to us live, you can catch the archive, arcaneradio.com. Click on archives. We'll have the show posted probably tomorrow afternoon, unless I have to do a little bit of editing, but tomorrow afternoon it should be posted. And you can always email us at info@arcaneradio.com. Stop over and see Lon at phantomsandmonsters.com. Keep track of what's going on with me and what I'm doing at theforkchop.net. And Jay, one more time, let the folks know how they can get a hold of you.
Yeah, they can get a hold of me. You can go to my website, WPIHuntsTheTruth.com. Also from there, everybody's on Facebook. You can also look up, under Facebook, WPI Hunts the Truth. Like the page, actually, that's where I post, any evidence or any pseudo evidence, just to be able to track to see what I'm doing. But definitely take a look, bookmark the website, because I do keep that updated. And it's a pretty cool website because I designed it and I maintain it. Little plug for me there.
Pride runs deep.
But but definitely keep it there. And I'll tell anybody out there. Yes, my email is reportit@wpihuntstetruth.com, but report it to whoever you feel comfortable with. Someone like Lon, Linda, Eric, anybody. Just report it. That's it. We all kind of network like this, and this is what we do. Try to hunt the truth.
That's right. If you want it really taken care of really quickly, get a hold of Lon.
Right, exactly.
Lon jumps on it, man. Let me tell you, he gets something. He's like, I got it. He's like right on. He's like, hey, Sean, check this out. And
like a drug, man.
It is. But
you are, isn't it? Like, when did this come in? It came in 2 minutes ago. Take a look at it.
Yeah. Sometimes it doesn't even get that long. But
I know, right? Wait, when did this happen? It didn't, but it's going to. Check it out.
I feel this is going to happen here anytime. Right. We got to bust Lon's balls every once in a while. Love to be connected with this guy. Lon's got, he really does. He's had his pulse, and it was no coincidence when I called him the pulse of the paranormal, because he literally is the pulse of the paranormal. I think I called you that in Gettysburg.
You called me the Pope of the paranormal or something like that.
I called you that too.
You were screwing around with Zappis because they were calling him the Godfather of the paranormal, and you called me the Pope of the paranormal.
I did.
But I
love it. I love it. Well, folks, you've been listening to Arcane Radio. Sean Forker, Lon Strickler. Catch us next week with our guest, Brett Oldham. And what are we talking about?
He's an abductee.
And okay. So it's going to get serious next week.
He's actually written a couple books, eating his wife, and I don't know if she's going to be joining us or not, but he is going to be joining us, and I'm quite sure he's going to be talking about some of his experiences.
Interesting. So next week it gets a little wild and weird here on Arcane Radio. We talk about alien abductions again with Brett Oldham, and we'll see you next week, folks. Thanks for listening. Good night, everybody.